Let's Talk is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give.
You're listening to Let's Talk, episode 41, brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network. Howdy, all. Father Corey Stika. Welcome to Let's Talk, our weekly SQPN community podcast. Glad you could join us. We've got Joanne's back with us again this week. We've got a small gathering, but that's all right. How's it going, Joanne?
It's going well. The snow is still on the ground, but we're hoping for warmer weather this week.
Yeah, we're the same way. It actually got up to 25 yesterday.
Woohoo!
Which
all right.
We haven't gone above freezing in 40 days or something like that. I feel like the opposite of Noah. Noah had rain for 40 days and 40 nights. We had freezing for 40 days and 40 nights.
Well, we haven't been that bad, but it has been cold all week. And now, as per usual in March in New England, we're predicting 55 degrees next week. Oh,
sounds beautiful.
I bet it does.
The snow will melt away and it'll be wonderful. No, I had a funeral yesterday, that recording as we record this, so it was Friday, and he was a military retiree. So we did the funeral inside the church, and then because of all the snow at the cemetery, the burial will be at another time. So he was cremated, so the burial will be at another time. But they did the military honors right outside the church. And it was so nice. You know, it was 20 degrees and the sun was out and there was almost no wind. So everybody was outside enjoying the nice weather. Because, this time of year when it's been below zero, 20 degrees feels wonderful.
It's funny how that happens. It's really balmy today and it's just hitting 30. Mm-hmm. So,
I think there's something to be said that your blood really does kind of thicken up during the winter.
Yes, it does. And we need to get that warm weather in because the clocks are changing tomorrow. Yeah. Oh, I hate that.
By the time you hear this, we've all suffered through it. And I have to have a few words with the parishioner who happens to be our state representative, because twice now since he's been in office, this bill has tried to go through to get rid of the time change, and twice it's failed. It's like, okay, buddy, we sent you there for one reason, and you haven't been doing it.
We have the same issue here in New England. We keep saying we're going to go with Atlantic time and just stay there, which is an hour ahead, but no one's listening, and it goes into committee and it goes, and it dies. And we're like, folks, we don't need this time change back and forth. It's getting ridiculous. People really get draggy and hurt. And
heart attacks go up during this time of year coming up here because of, the fall back is nice. You get an extra hour of sleep, but that's moving forward that hurts people because you do lose that sleep.
But I wonder, do you really get the hour, or do you end up getting up early or going to bed late so it negates the hour?
Yeah,
that's what I wonder.
Either way, I think that one's easier to adjust your sleep cycle.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you that. But this one now coming up is not, because you're losing an hour, and even my dog gets confused.
Yeah, it's not good. And Montana, they keep trying to do in Mountain Standard Time, and I think they need to do like New England, but move to Central Time. And maybe they have to, and this something might not be popular, but maybe they have to move half of Montana to Central Time, Central Standard Time, and half of Montana leave it at Mountain Standard Time. And so, we'll have that time change. We'll have that time change in the middle of the state, but Montana is 700 miles long. The U.S. Highway 2 is 667 miles long across the state. So it's a long state. You're going to have more than one time zone.
Yeah.
It's just going to happen.
Maybe you might be right. Because 600 miles for us here in New England is like New Jersey. So we're in another state if we go that far.
You're in a couple of states if you go that far.
That's for sure.
You could drive halfway across New England. So But so we're trying to get rid of it, and they're fighting us and arguing with us, and not happy about it.
One would think if the whole country is starting to feel that way, that perhaps we should visit the argument seriously. But just like anything else, apparently only squeaky wheels get greased. So
yeah,
it's got to get real squeaky before it gets greased.
Exactly, and I have a feeling, it's going to take some time, and more states are going to change. Because I'm trying to remember, wasn't there a state that actually did pass it recently? Last couple of years,
Arizona doesn't change.
Arizona
Hawaii doesn't change.
Hawaii doesn't. Okay,
Hawaii doesn't change. Indiana has
most of Indiana. Well, it's most of Indiana. It's the part of Indiana that isn't Chicago area.
Okay.
That doesn't change. The Chicago, the northwest suburbs of Chicago or of Indiana is suburbs of Chicago, so they stay on the time change to stay with Chicago, but most of the state doesn't. And I said,
it's really strange.
I think there's in the next couple of years we're going to start seeing more and more states passing it. I really do, because pretty much every state that I hear of has those laws on the books. So soon, if there's any members of legislature listening, if we happen to have any of those,
please
do your job, get rid of it. I honestly wonder if it'll hit a kind of a tipping point and it'll be a federal, even if it's just kind of a federal law that says we encourage the states to.
That would be nice.
Where it's coming, pressure coming from a federal level, because the feds have, let's see, remember the history. Time change came from the federal level,
right?
Initially, but then the feds allowed the states to decide whether or not they do it. They continue with it, and that's when Arizona and Indiana split off.
Mm-hmm. That was somewhere in the 70s or 80s, somewhere in there.
I think so.
And I think it's because a lot less places are agricultural. This was all done for agricultural reasons.
Which is so stupid.
Beginning. I know,
which is so dumb.
Still.
I mean, it's living in an agricultural area. It's so dumb. The farmer gets up when the sun gets up and goes and works the field. The cows get milked when the cows need to get milked. The cows get fed when they need to get fed. It doesn't matter if the clock says 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock in the morning.
Right. But also for energy purposes. So if it stays lighter longer, which is their way of thinking, then you don't have to use as much electricity. But the problem is in the summertime, you're using most of your electricity is in air conditioning.
Exactly.
So it doesn't matter what time it is.
And, and that's why there's the issue, like you talk about New England moving forward to Atlantic time, is they want to shift more of that daylight to the evening.
Right.
Instead of before work, you have it after work. And that's a legitimate concern, and it's a legitimate argument. But that's why you should do it year round. Because I'm sorry, at least here in Montana, during the winter, it doesn't matter when you say the clock shows. It's dark in the morning when you go to work, and it's dark when you get done for the day for about a month. And just nothing you can do about that.
It happens here too. So if we didn't change the clocks, this weekend, we would be getting up at the sunrise would be around 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
Okay. And that's good for kids, and that's good for people like my husband who get up really early to go to work. We're going to move it now. It's going to be 7 o'clock in the morning. It's dark again. Who wants to get up in the morning? And then the kids have the problem of being out waiting for the bus in the dark. So
same here.
Keep it one way and deal with it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and especially since, right now here in Montana by 6:30, it's getting pretty light. But like you said, in an hour or in after time change, it'll be 7:30 that it's getting pretty light. So
and I won't talk about what it does to the Easter Vigil. Please don't get me to talk about that.
Oh boy. 8:30 at night, anyone?
Yeah, really. Not talking.
Yeah, so anyway, so that's what you're all dealing with it, that you're listening to it. We're grumbling because we're facing it tonight. So hooray. So other than time change, how are things going?
Oh, pretty good. But we have a particular problem in our collaborative right now. Our pastor's email has been spoofed. So parishioners are getting little emails from our pastor at gmail.com, of which he does not have an address as far as I know, and saying, hi there, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to get me some iTunes cards for somebody who's in the hospital. Total scam.
Yeah,
it's a total scam.
This is a common scam, and it's not just churches facing it. I know I've seen it in other organizations, but this is definitely something that's been ramping up recently in the Catholic Church is these scammers. And to address the one issue I'm sure you've heard as well, Joanne, no, his email was not compromised.
Right.
You know, you'll hear someone say, well, I got an email that had your email address. Your email is compromised. No. Nope. There's ways to spoof the header. So it'll look like and I've seen this scam doing that, where it looks like it comes from Father Corey at stmarysmalta.org, which is my personal, my office email address. That's the public one. That's the one I put on the website. That's why I can say it on the podcast. It's public. I don't care if it's out there, but if you look in the actual headers of the email, which you don't usually see, you know, most email clients today cut that out. They block that out so you don't see that, but you can look at the actual email itself. And it will say reply to Father Corey 12345 at gmail.com or something like that. And so when you hit reply, you'll see Father Corey in the reply address. You'll send it off, and it won't come to me, so I won't have a clue that you did it.
Right, exactly. That's how it works. We have the same thing. We have at cranberrycatholic.org. Anything that's official comes from us, any of us on staff, priests, lay people, from at cranberrycatholic.org. This particular one has his full name, Reverend blah, 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 at Gmail. And I've seen others that say Father blah, blah, 123456 at Gmail. So as quickly as they shut one down, they can start another one up. But it's not him.
Yeah. It takes a whole 30 seconds to set up a Google account to get a new Gmail address. I mean, it's insane how easy it is, you know, and there's no
checks on that. I don't know how you could check it, but there's no checks on that. Like, okay, there are 29 Father Corys, you know, which one are you? Are you, you know, I don't know if you could do that, but it's so easy just to keep recycling these things. But parishioners immediately say, oh, Father needs help, so I got to help him. Exactly. And I've even had staff people reply. I'm like, don't reply, because now they've captured your email address on another level, and you don't want to do that. So, because now you're replying to them.
Yeah, you might have one email address that you publicly post again on a website or something like that, and a different email address that you reserve for private correspondence or interoffice correspondence or whatever, and now you've just let it out.
Exactly, depending on which is your default, because like I have a few different email addresses, but my default, and I leave it that way now, is my parish one.
Right.
And so if I'm doing a private one and I always change it, but I'd rather have the public one there in case by accident something happens and the public one is there.
I've done that before. My diocese knows like 3 or 4 different email addresses for me, and one of them is my SQPN one. It's like, oops, I wasn't supposed to give them that one. Oh well.
Whoops.
I mean, I don't care if they know that I'm involved with SQPN, but I wasn't going to. I was trying to keep that email separate for SQPN stuff only, and not diocese stuff, because they've got a bad habit of, well, I need to email these priests, so let's take every name of these priests, even if it's like, oh, I've got Father Corey 4 times. Yeah, we'll just email him 4 times.
And then you're sitting there going, why do I have this 4 times in my email? Oh, because they have 4 emails addresses.
Exactly.
But bringing this up, especially on our program today, is because this is not confined to my little collaborative. No. In doing research, I'm seeing throughout the country this is happening. And it seems to be in conjunction, maybe coincidentally, maybe not, with different bishops' appeals that are happening right now. I know our Cardinals' appeal, or we're calling it the Catholic appeal, started 2 weeks ago. And these emails started 2 weeks ago. Basically, they dribbled and now they're full force.
You see them around Christmas time, Easter time. And here now during like appeal time. Yeah, we just started our appeals too this past weekend. So it's the same kind of deal. It's similar to the Facebook spoofing, where someone creates a Facebook account and pretends to be you, or a Facebook page, and sends a message of, hey, I'm stuck over in Ireland or Nigeria or something like that. It's just a similar kind of thing where it's very easy on the internet to impersonate someone and to make people think that you're asking them for help when you're really not.
Right. And here's some clues, though. Usually in messages like this, the spelling or syntax of sentences is atrocious.
Yes.
I mean, it's almost like it's been translated from another language to English. Mm-hmm. So really, and if you know that your pastor or anybody does not speak like that, already that's, and of course they're not a Nigerian prince, but if they, but it's not them. If they're, the best thing to do in these cases is to, and what we've told everybody with every social media device we have at our disposal, is either look the right address, check the address against what's on our website at cranberrycatholic.org, or call our office. And we'll tell you if Father is looking for anything from you.
Exactly.
Because we pretty much know. So,
that's always the best advice is if you're not sure, contact the person, whether it is, and don't contact them by hitting reply, contact them by, again, calling the office. If your pastor is sending out a request for some funds, hey, I need, $200 for this, that, or the other thing, call them. Call the office and say, hey, I just got an email from Father so-and-so saying he needs $200 worth of iTunes cards or Amazon cards. Mm-hmm. And, of course, they go, huh?
Right. And present company excluded, but most of your priests do not deal in Bitcoin. So
I'd like to deal in Bitcoin. I just can't afford it.
Right. But, that's another big one. Send us Bitcoin. No Bitcoin. Don't give me numbers from the back of the iTunes cards. Don't do anything. That's a clear scam.
And to be clear how the scam works, what people will do is they'll do one of two things. They'll either take the cards and then sell them for the cash value, which then that person they sold it to just will immediately cash the cards in, so you can't get them back. You can get a refund on any card until the second they hit enter on entering the number. At that point, once that card has been cashed in, you're done. You can't get it back.
Right.
So either they'll sell it or they'll use it themselves. And that's why Amazon cards are so bad, because you can buy everything on Amazon.
Mm-hmm. That's very true. And a lot of older folks don't realize that you don't have to have the physical card to use it. A lot of times, you just need the numbers and put them in on the websites, and it's just like cash.
Well, and Amazon makes it even easier, where you basically, you give them the email address and it sends it right to them. You don't even have to send them the address. Now, I think this scam usually says, get this gift card and give me the numbers.
Right. That's the one we're dealing with, right? At least that I'm dealing with right now. I've dealt with others in our staff, but that's the Bitcoin ones, and those are a little bit more tricky, but they're just the same. If you ever get one that says, we've recorded your activities on sites that are undesirable.
Oh, yes.
And now you've got to give us $750 in Bitcoin so we don't send this file to all your friends. Guess what? That's also a scam. However, some of them do include a password that may have gotten breached. And this has happened now to my husband, where I saw it. I saw the email, and his password from one of his accounts has been breached. But we knew we were breached in Equifax. We knew we're part of Facebook, so it may have come from there. So now I'm changing his passwords in a lot of places now, because he also tended to use the same password. Please don't do that, anybody.
Really don't, please. It's not a good thing. There's so many of these scams, and I love the one that you kind of mentioned it, but the one where it looks like a Windows error, Windows alert. Your system is dead, and you need to do this. Don't reboot it, et cetera, et cetera. And you look at it closer. All it did was, as you're browsing around, it just full screen Facebook, or not Facebook, Firefox or Chrome or Internet Explorer, whatever you're using. By the way, don't use Internet Explorer if you still are.
Ouch.
Edge is at least somewhat better. But it full screens it and it brings up a static image.
Okay.
That plays a background song or a background alert tone. Mm-hmm. That's all it does. It's a static web page. And all you got to do to close it out is just close off Firefox.
Yeah.
Or close off that page. I mean,
and it's done.
It doesn't lock you out of anything, but the whole idea is to get you to panic and then click here to be taken somewhere that's going to do damage.
And some scammers are even being bolder by calling people and saying, Father wanted me to call you and get the following. Yep. If that ever happens, call Father. Because do not do anything, call Father. I think it's hysterical. I have a cousin who's in a nursing home, and I monitor her voicemail because she cannot no longer do that. Okay. And the other day I got this is Microsoft. Your computer has a problem. And I'm sitting there going, she A, doesn't have a computer, B, she's in a nursing home.
Exactly.
And I'm like, and people fall for this. And I don't know, maybe when I get older and scams get more intricate and I, just don't pay attention to things anymore. But I'm trying very hard as an older person to keep aware of all these things because they are going after older people more than the younger ones. The younger ones know better. Yeah. And
I think most of our listeners are going to be somewhat tech savvy. To be honest, to listen to podcasts, you have to have a little bit of tech savviness. Mm-hmm. But if you're not comfortable, if we're talking about things that you're not sure about, how to handle these things, find someone local that you can trust, someone in your family, a friend, someone at work that can kind of help advise you, because these scams work because people don't understand them. They don't know how they work. They don't know why is it a scam that Father has emailed me for these gift cards? Why is it a scam that Microsoft is calling me and telling me my computer is infected with a virus and they need access? If you don't understand that, you need to find someone who will help you understand that.
And I think it's our responsibility as tech savvy persons to tell others, to tell the older generation about it, even if we can't explain it, even if we can't, how do I say this? Even if we can't tell them all the technical parts, just say to them, if you get this, call me. Or if you get this, call Father. Yep. And even if they don't fully understand, because I think that will help curtail some of this. Yeah. They're very willing to help Father. And that's a wonderful thing. And we don't want them to start not trusting Father either because of this.
And especially when it's something that Father didn't do. When it's somebody, we've got enough problems in the church today that we're dealing with. We don't need things like this to cause more issues and more problems.
Amen.
For the church, especially since, so many parishes are struggling with financially,
Oh, who says the devil isn't active?
Oh boy, he's having a heyday.
Yes, he is.
One good thing our bishop asked us to do is for this year to be a year of prayer, penance, and reparation for the sins of the church. And one thing one part of it is he's asked us to do is to pray after Mass. And I've been doing it on weekend Masses, the St. Michael prayer. St. Michael the Archangel, defend us in the battle. Great prayer for that to chase the devil away, because he's working and he's having fun, so to speak.
Oh, yeah. You can see it.
Yeah. So this good place to take a break real quick as we're talking about the devil. No, but take a break, and once again, thank you for listening to Let's Talk and the other SQPN community podcasts. We're glad you enjoy our shows and enjoy listening to them, and hope that if you haven't listened to our other podcasts such as The Secrets of Doctor Who, Secrets of Star Trek, Jimmy Akin's Mysterious World, Catholics of Oz, all the other shows that we have, I hope you'll check them out. Go to our website sqpn.com and check them out. We've got some great stuff that we've been putting out, and there's a lot of good information out there. So please do check it out. I also want to thank those who are helping us produce our shows through their patronage, especially through Patreon. Patreon is a way that you can give money to SQPN. And by the way, this is not an email scam. We really are asking for your help through Patreon. And to help us keep going with our shows, and if you join through Patreon on a monthly level, we have some gifts for you, and also we reach out to our patrons at occasional times for different patron only things. So please do check that out. You can go to sqpn.com/give. I'd like to thank a couple of our patrons, as we've been doing over the last couple of months: Jerry G, Kevin K, Joshua G, John S, and Wojciech D. Thank you, and thank all of our patrons from Patreon. Try to say that 10 times fast, for your donation, your help keeping SQPN on the air, so to speak, because while many of us do donate our time and our labor, we still have expenses we need to meet, as any organization does, especially on the internet when you have hosting for the internet and our website and things like that. So again, go to sqpn.com/give to figure out how you can help out, keep SQPN going and growing as we're trying to do. So anything else you want to talk about with these scams, or?
You could. I think I'm tired right now from them because I've been dealing with it all week.
Oh, absolutely.
So, yeah, I think we'll turn to something else then.
Yeah. I think would now be a good time to jump to our picks of the week. We're going to keep it. Joanne's got a little bit of a hard time limit, so we're going to keep the episode a little bit short today, which is fine. So what would you like to share for your pick this week?
Oh, and it goes right into the email scams. Everyone should have a password manager, so that you only have to remember one password for everything. And the one I use is LastPass. And that's at I'm trying to find it while we're doing this here.
LastPass.com.
It is LastPass.com.
I think so.
Oh, let's check that, because the last thing we want is, yes, it is LastPass.com. And I've just upgraded to the family plan.
Oh, excellent.
Because I want my husband to be able to access my passwords, and I want to be able to help him access and manage his. It's free. You can do it. I've done it free now for maybe 4 years. And it's great because it will create for you, if you want it to, very long passwords. You know, the 32 character versions where no one could ever remember them. But if you even just have some that you want to keep as your own made up ones, you can do that too. It will also, in a separate area, you can put your social security numbers, you can put your router information, you can put all these other kinds of your passport info, and you're the only one who can get it. That's the big thing you have to know about this. Your password, the one password that you use, that's the only way you can get to it, because they don't store that on their server. So if you lose that, you might have to start from scratch again. But I recommend it totally. There's the free version, the premium version, and then the family version. And the premium family have a great feature, because if something should happen to you, and this is going to happen to everybody, if you go in the hospital or die, somebody else needs to be able to get into those passwords to either close down accounts or access stuff that you want them to access. And it has an emergency feature where you can designate that person and then say either they have access immediately or they got to wait 30 days to get access to your stuff. But I recommend it highly at this point, because we do not have the brains to remember every single password we're being asked to remember in our world. So,
and you really should have, every password should be unique. I mean, you might have a few throwaway accounts, like to a forum site or something like that you don't care about. Fine, you could use the same password on those. But when you're talking about your banking, you're talking about your bills, you're talking about, all the different things we have in our lives that we need to protect. Yeah, you need different passwords.
Right. And I heard on the news this week somewhere, and I can't remember where, that they're trying to create an alternative to passwords. Again, but now they think they may have come up with it. And I forget what it was, but they can't come up with something like that soon enough for me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like ridiculous. It or not, passwords are here. I mean, we've got, the Touch ID or, fingerprint scanners on all our cell phones now. Apple's rolling out the face recognition which has been fought with for years. I remember back in the 90s, they were trying to do face recognition on Windows, and it just didn't work, but we still have passwords. We still have passwords. We still need to know them. And I use LastPass well. I've got the premium model, and I use it, several times a day, and get annoyed when the two-factor authentication shows up every 30 days. I got to do this again. But
it's worth it, because when you're going to these sites and you go to it, especially on iOS, it'll come up and say, where do you want this from? You want this from LastPass, you want this from your keychain, and you just say which one you want it from, and it fills it in, and there you go.
Yep. Yeah.
Don't have to remember.
Android, the LastPass just sits in the background on the phone, and as soon as I pull up a web page that needs a login or an app that needs a login, it's immediately right there. It might say, I might have to do the thumbprint or the fingerprint to get the LastPass open. But then once that's happened, I can sit there and do whatever I need. So, yeah, I recommend it as well. Excellent pick. For my pick, I'm going with something related to what I did last week. Last week, I did the Magnificat Lenten Companion. This week, I'm doing Magnificat's Way of the Cross. They brought this out a year ago, but it's by Jean Vanier, founder L'Arche.
Wow.
So, it's excellent. So it's really... Standing by the Crucified Today is the subtitle of it. So it's beautiful art, of course, it's Magnificat, so it's going to be absolutely beautiful to look at. But then it's, reflected on those who are suffering. It's very similar to the one that you had last week from your friend, for those who are, dealing with
disabled, disabled, ill, and I couldn't remember. Dying, I think it is.
Dying, yeah. This is more about the those who are in need. And it's not just those who are in need for, being homeless or poor, or, people who are sorrowing after the death of a loved one, people who are, all these things that are going on in people's lives. So basically, it's a reminder that we as Christians, that our life, our prayer needs to lead us outward. Yes, we come to Mass and we celebrate and we worship God and we join together as a community, but it should lead us outward. So it's a beautiful way of the cross. I hope to do it a couple of times during Lent here. We've got the more traditional one that we do, but I hope to do this one also during Lent as part of our community. One of our parishioners donated a bunch of these books, like about 100 of these books. So I'm going to snag some and keep them for the church.
Nice.
But check it out. Magnificat, Way of the Cross. We'll have a link in the show notes where you can find that. You can buy that. It's a nice little book. And again, being my Magnificat, it's just beautiful to look at. So it's worth for reflecting on our Lord's passion and death. So thank you again for being on, Joanne. It was good topic of conversation. Where can people find you?
Oh, if you want to see what we're doing in our collaborative, it's cranberrycollaborative.org. One of these days, I will let you know where I am elsewhere on the internet. However, if you do want to see anything that I do from my Facebook, it's usually on Ritual Diva. I'm at Ritual Diva at Twitter. I kind of hook the two together. So if you ever want to see anything, and Ritual Diva, please don't let me explain that right now. So,
we'll talk about another day.
At another time, yes. After Holy Week.
All right. And I'm Father Corey Stika. Again, you can find me at my website, frcorey.org. That's where I post my homilies. I'm on Facebook, Father Corey Stika, and my Twitter is frcorey_stika. If you have any feedback for this episode of Let's Talk or any episode of Let's Talk, you can send that to letstalk@sqpn.com. Thank you very much for listening, and God bless.